Welcome to the Intelight tutorial on managing databases in the browser. Our controller is browser-based, so you don't need any proprietary laptop software. Just a network connection and an IP address, and it opens up. I've opened up my browser, I've put in the IP address of the controller, and up it comes. From there, I simply hit Administration. From Administration, we go to Database Management, and this will be the screen that we're talking about. The first thing we're going to talk about is factory databases. This is a list of databases that are write protected, which means we can't overwrite them, we can't make changes to them, we can't delete them once they're in the controller. But we can create these and make them write protected and load them on the controller so you have a known set of values to start programming with. This is the list I'm talking about, anything in this list here. So we will scroll to the bottom and we'll pick our flashing yellow arrow database. We select it, and the only thing we do is set it active. So down at the bottom it says after I selected active, the database flashing yellow arrow 4-way 9 through 12 overlaps will be used after reboot. I reboot the controller and it comes up and it's going to be running these timings. I simply go in and make changes for a particular intersection and then save the timings away in a new database, which will take us to the next section. In this section, we're going to create a user database, rename them, save them, and delete them. Now that we've created a new set of timings for this intersection from one of our factory databases, we want to resave it under a new database for this particular intersection. So we can do that after we made our changes, simply going into the database name and typing a new name and hitting backup. So we may have changed chord or preempt or some IO or green changes, but we simply type in a name. If it's an intersection, we will put an intersection name in. So we'll put in Main Street and Elm Street, and I might want to put a date code in, so I can put in March 15th, and I can put my initials in so we know who's done it, and we can hit backup. We now have a database, which is all the running timings captured into this file. Once we have this file, we can go and make other changes. And if we make those changes and we want to overwrite this database, we simply type the name in again, Main Street and Elm Street, and we will put in the same date code and the same old initials. And when we hit backup, we don't create another database, we've overwritten this database, so it will have our latest changes on that. If we want to have two databases, one before and one after, to compare, we could simply just number them. We could go back to the name and we could type in the same name we had, which would be Main Street and Elm Street, and we'll put our date code in, my initials, and we'll just add a 1 to it. So one character difference will create another database. And we could compare the two back and forth, so we can overwrite them. We can certainly have a whole list of them. We're trying different things, but we get the one we like, and we want to delete the ones we don't like. So we could simply go and click on any database in the user database list, and in this case we'll pick this one, and simply hit the delete key, or we'll delete the first one because those are older timings. So bang, and it's gone away. So we can create databases on the fly, and we can delete databases on the fly. In this section, we're going to copy databases into the controller and copy databases out of the controller. So we have a database in the controller, and we want to copy it out of the controller so we can save it, archive it, email it in, share it with other people's, or put it in a different controller. So all we really have to do is select our database by clicking on it and copy from controller. Notice I have Windows 7, so down at the bottom I can say save, and it will save to my download folder. Or I can do the little arrow beside it and do save as. And if I go to save as, I can open up in Windows Explorer, and I can put it anywhere I want, a thumb drive, a shared drive. So I will go into my max time folder, I'll go into one of my database folders and I'll hit save. Now I've saved it away. It's a 5K, a flat file that I can copy, paste, email. Now the reverse operation is to a database I've created and I want to put it onto this controller. So I can hit the browse button. I will open up Windows Browse for files and folders. I'll go into Max Time. I'll go into one of my database folders and I will select the database. I will pick Brushy Creek and Cougar. I'll say open. Once I've got it here, I can simply just say copy to the controller. When I click, it copied to the controller in a half a second. It's 500 milliseconds in, 500 milliseconds out. So the design of this to get you in and out of the cabinet as quickly as possible during bad weather, snappy, quick. Certainly don't want to stand around for 3 or 4 minutes to do uploads and downloads. The last section is the USB drive interface. We can plug a USB drive into one of the USB ports on the controller, and we can have databases reside on that USB drive. So now we are going to talk about USB drives. We can buy a standard USB drive at Walmart or one of the drugstores or a gas station. And typically they're an inexpensive way to store data. So we can take a standard USB drive and we can plug it into the controller and we can copy the databases from the USB to the controller or from the controller to the USB. Or for the price of a $5 USB drive, you can keep it resident in the controller and have thousands of databases. These databases are about 5K. Sometimes they go up as high as 7. I plugged my USB drive in, it's blinking, and it read the databases on there. So these are all the databases that are on the USB. I didn't have to do anything outside of just plug it in and give it a second to read it. So now if I wanted to copy a database from the controller to the USB drive, I would simply go over to the user databases and I would highlight it. So in this case here, we will pick the Whataburger intersection. Notice that we have a new button, Copy to USB. So when I click it, it copies over. It's already done. It has to refresh and redraw the screen, but if I scroll down, keep going to my W's, way down to the bottom, it adds it to the bottom of the list. There's our Whataburger intersection. If I wanted to copy it the other direction, I would simply select an intersection, Broadway and Bluebonnet, and I have the button below that copies to the controller. I hit copy, and it's over. It refreshes my screen. It's a little bit longer than going from the hard drive, not much, maybe 3/4 of a second instead of half a second. Or maybe even a second, but that's still a pretty cool feature to have available. Standard USB drives are certainly superior to data keys and upload-download cables and proprietary software. This is a very powerful new feature in the traffic world, and I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this tutorial. The next tutorial will be about tagging databases, so it'll be a fun one. I hope you join us. Thanks.